And the interesting thing is, for a lot of business owners, it's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the problem with that is, for businesses, you don't tend to realize it's broke until it's too late.
What's up, creators? Anthony Rudolph here, and welcome back to Born to Create. So for those who don't know, Born to Create is a simple concept. If who or what you want to be doesn't exist, you go out there and you create it. So I got one of my main bros on the line today, Mr. Matt Hagberg. So I met Matt years ago, actually at church, I believe. So we've been rocking ever since. Real quick story is that we both started in e-commerce around the same time. We launched our stores. I went to a meeting that Matt was at, and I was like, my store's not working. I need some help. I need to, I'm not cracking this certain amount per day. And I was like, yeah, I did $3,000 a day online. So, and I wanted to punch him in his face, but I didn't, because, he's a church friend of mine. So he went on to show me, what tweaks I could make on my personal store, on my ads and marketing, which led me to blow up just like Matt. But I'll let him tell you a story. So Matt, how you doing today, bro?
Thanks for having me on. So actually, that story, what's funny is I'm literally talking to a client right now who just launched a new, he's a clothing designer, and he just launched a new set of designs. And it's a story that happens over and over again with clients, where they think that business is simply run some ads, people come to your store, they buy something. And they don't realize, they don't get into the head of the person who they're trying to get to buy things. And that's really the most important thing, is figuring out what your target market thinks when they're going through this process. And then figuring out what you can do to get them to spend more with you once you've figured out how to get them to buy it all. And so I know we talked about an offer and making sure your offer works. I think the thing is making sure that your story, like the brand and the story and the way you're making your target market feel, from the ad to your store or landing page or whatever the case may be, all the way through, is congruent. Because when you chop it up and it feels weird to them, human nature is, if it's weird, I'm running.
Right.
So that's the first thing. And then going from there, it's really about optimizing, so that way you remove as many hurdles as it takes for the person that you're bringing in to go from what they want to getting it into their cart or whatever the case may be.
Let me stop real quick there. So just really backing up, tell the audience exactly. So what exactly do you do? Like, what is your business today?
Sure. So I run an agency that focuses on business strategy and marketing. So literally, I work with anywhere from startups who have done nothing, all the way to large companies like Chick-fil-A franchisees and a company called ClickFunnels and things like that, where they will, I basically just come in and either run their marketing for them, their online marketing for them. So Facebook ads, Google ads, Snapchat, like anything social, Google, whatever the case may be. And in addition, if necessary, help them to build out their sales funnel or their store, their offer, whatever the case may be. So that way, really, they can launch a successful business.
Okay, perfect. So I know. So what exactly is a sales funnel? Break down a sales funnel for us. Is it a website?
Sure.
What's a sales funnel?
So a sales funnel can be a website. It can be really, all it is the path that you take your potential customer from the first moment that they're introduced to you, all the way from you, preferably buying multiple things from you. That's your sales funnel.
Okay. So it's not really a little website. So is it a little website?
So it can be a website. It can be, so what I usually do is, if it's an e-commerce person, I'll use usually Shopify. And what we'll do is we'll build out a quote unquote sales funnel on Shopify, where the funnel is, it includes the ad that we show them. and then the steps they take inside the store to go from seeing the ad to buying whatever it is that you showed them on the ad. That's the sales funnel process using Shopify. The other thing that I'll use is a platform called ClickFunnels, which is essentially a sales and lead generation platform, where again you're taking someone. I use it a lot with people who have professional businesses or they're collecting leads, um, where you send an ad in their face. The sales funnel is literally just the path they take from seeing that to the landing page, to reading through that landing page and being convinced that they should give you either their information or money or a combination of the two, and then actually going through that process. That's the actual sales funnel. Where you put it, technically sales funnels existed before the internet. They were brick and mortar sales funnels. It was, how am I getting their attention? How do I get them in the door? How do I convince them to buy now that they're here in our store? And then how do I get them to come back to buy more?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So this is all done online, right? So you're basically online digital marketing, right?
Correct.
So, talk to us about, I guess, like the transition so for business. So a lot of businesses are still brick and mortar and still pass out business cards, pass out flyers, do all the old tactics, which can work to a certain extent, right? So see billboards. Remember, we had a billboard conversation. Me, you, and Jonathan at one time, and we were bumping heads about billboards. So let's. but there are people who are still using those tactics. Now, do those tactics
Sure.
still work, or are we moving away from that as far as online mediums?
Yeah. I think it depends on the industry. I feel like some of those tactics do still work, but I feel like it's shrinking. For example, the billboard thing, there may be situations, for example, T-Mobile, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, like these large brands, they understand the concept of branding. They know that, well, first of all, if you're a fast food chain and you put a billboard of what you serve near an exit of where your where one of your locations is, that is a good, not only is that branding, but that's actually a good direct response situation as well, because you're putting in somebody's mind, hey, this is delicious and you're probably hungry, go get it. And then they see that, one exit later, your restaurant's there. It's a great way to make that work. But on the other hand, if you're a clothing store, might not be the best way to go, because people don't impulse buy from their car with clothing. So it really depends on your industry, what you're going to do. Flyers actually work really well too. We were just in New York on vacation, and there are situations where New York's streets are flooded with pedestrians standing outside and handing flyers to a party or a comedy club or whatever. Works really well. It happens in Vegas all the time too. Whenever we go to Vegas, we get handed flyers and free tickets and all these other things just to go to clubs. So it depends on your industry. However, I can usually, and I've challenged some people to this, I can usually get more eyes on your business using online marketing you can using your traditional marketing. And I can do it for cheaper, or at least the same amount, getting more eyes. So that's really one of the biggest transitions there, is just the fact that I can get more people to see who you are for less, and I can target who it is I want to see it. So for example, if when you drive by that McDonald's billboard, you're showing it to me and I never eat at McDonald's. So that was a waste of money for you to show it to me. I can actually online exclude people who don't like McDonald's and only show ads to people who actually like McDonald's, who've shown that they shop there, whatever the case may be. So I can do more with less money online than you can with traditional marketing.
Right. So you can target people who you want to see your ads, and others who don't, you can just tell them no, thank you.
Yeah.
And so as far as the McDonald's concept, example, I believe that. I mean, I believe that big brands do well with billboards, but what about the mom and pop shop? The new burger joint, that just opened up, who doesn't have a brand, right? Would you advise them to get a billboard, or you say no billboard because you're not a brand? Let's just strictly focus on just the online platform, online attention.
So for situations like that with like mom and pop or brand new brands, especially ones that are brick and mortar that like you're really only realistically going to get people within a 5 mile radius to come to your place. I would at least at first only stick with online advertising, because what I would do is I would, but even then it's a branding concept. It's not necessarily direct response. So they're not going to necessarily see your Facebook ad and then immediately be like, oh, let me go there now. It's still a branding concept. It's just I can reach more eyeballs for the same amount of money or less money.
Yeah.
Because I can literally just target a 5 mile radius of people who like other burger chains, and just tell them, hey, we're open, and hey, by the way, come in and show me this post, and I'll give you, a free drink or whatever the case may be. You can sweeten the deal for them, but at the least, you can create a branding campaign from sitting on your butt in front of a computer and never having to leave your computer. You don't have to pay, $10,000 to $25,000 for a billboard. You don't have to. You could do that for a couple $100.
Yeah, yeah. So you can essentially get Super Bowl level eyeballs on your project for a fraction of what the Super Bowl ads actually cost.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, so I did this research last year before the Super Bowl, where the Patriots beat the Rams, because I'm very glad that happened, and and I was looking at the number of eyeballs that hit some of the viral videos on YouTube versus the number of eyeballs that watched that game. And you don't even have to be the most viral video on YouTube, and you will have more people watch your video than you have people watching the Super Bowl. So if I put an ad inside that YouTube video, I have now shown my ad to more people than I could have gotten from the Super Bowl itself.
Okay, let me back up just make sure I understand this. So you put an ad inside a video that had millions of views, right?
Correct.
And then the people who saw that video saw your ad, which equates to more people watch your ad than on the Super Bowl, but you saved millions of dollars.
Correct. I didn't spend. I could probably do that for less than $1,000.
Wow.
And I think last year Super Bowl ads were, I think, 5 million for a 30-second spot, something like that.
Wow. So would you say that there's like a huge knowledge gap with business owners now, knowing that they can do what they're doing for a fraction of the cost? I mean, how do you propose that this gap gets filled? I mean, what's it going to take for business owners to find out?
Business is business. There's always trends, and there's always ups and downs. And when new things come out, it takes time for people to adopt them. And the interesting thing is, for a lot of business owners, it's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
But the problem with that is, for businesses, you don't tend to realize it's broke until it's too late. Like Toys R Us. I mean, Toys R Us they didn't produce anything for themselves. They were simply a building to go get toys from. Well, when Mattel and Hasbro and all these other companies started using the internet to just sell directly to their customers, a building wasn't necessary anymore, which meant Toys R Us wasn't necessary anymore. Yeah. So that's why they went out of business. So if you are a company that sells a thing that could just easily be sold online, then you have a big gap that you have to fill in order to make sure that you stay in business. Because I can just go on to a couple different websites, Amazon being the most obvious, and probably find what you're selling, unless you have a brand and you figured out how to create your own niche with your brand and things like that.
Right. And online marketing online period has become really a game changer, because I heard a story, and I'm sure you heard before, the story of Blockbuster, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, when Netflix came out, Netflix said, "Hey, Blockbuster, you can buy us for $50 million, right? You can buy us for that." So Blockbuster said no, because the joy, the beauty in people renting movies is that the family gets in the car, they all drive together down to Blockbuster and pick a movie together, right? That's why we're going to stay in business. And they said, no, we're not buying Netflix for $50 million. Now Netflix is worth how many billions now?
Oh yeah, it's insane.
And now Blockbuster is out of business. So it's really that. I mean, I think that business owners really need to hop on and really just start moving their business online, because
Oh
everything, in
yeah.
my opinion, is going there. I mean, we may still have 4, 5, 10 years to go before it's like they're there, and I don't think brick and mortar would ever be just like
No.
zero.
Yeah.
But more people are going online. I mean, we are far from actual virtual reality people. I can sit in their home doing VR stuff. But I mean, Amazon and stores like ours, people are buying. So the business owners need to hop on it and really get into the game, because if they don't, eventually they will get lost in the
Yeah.
shuffle and be out of business if they don't adjust.
Well, and two things for that. First, for Blockbuster, that goes back to they didn't understand the psychology of their buyer, because I remember going to Blockbuster, and in our family, we didn't make it a family thing. It was one person asked everyone, "What movie do you want?" And
Yep.
then that one person, or maybe two people, went to Blockbuster, picked out the movie, and then came back and everybody watched it. It was the watching around a TV that everybody enjoyed, not the going and
Love
they
that.
did not pay attention to their target market's psychology
Right.
through the whole process. They didn't pay attention to their sales funnel and how people felt about that sales funnel.
Right.
That was their biggest mistake.
Right.
And then you look at, so you said how brick and mortar won't go away completely, and I don't think it ever can. However, the biggest one is restaurants feel like they are immune, like they're safe,
Mm.
because you have to go to a restaurant to eat. It's just the physics of it doesn't work, and I argue that that's not true. Look at the introduction of Oops and Grubhub and all those things. More and more people can sit in their house and order from a sit down restaurant that we would normally call a sit down restaurant and not do takeout from, and like a PF Chang's or something like that. And they can just go to Grubhub or Uber Eats and have them go pick up the food for them and bring it back. If you haven't figured out how to tap into, and that's an online situation, they order through an app. If you haven't figured out how to tap into that, you're losing business through your restaurant, because that segment is growing. And if you don't think it is, then you should probably look at the value of those businesses of Uber Eats and Grubhub and things like that. The value of those businesses just continue to go up, because that service is just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I look at it even through the consumer side, because a lot of these businesses are, I guess, in a sense, getting smart, because I can walk into a fast food restaurant, I can walk into a grocery store, a bank, and people are being replaced with kiosks and machines now, right? So it's like the businesses are looking to save their assets in a sense, right? So entrepreneurs like us need to see that, say, hey, I need to make sure that I save myself, because pretty soon there'll be a robot doing a human's job. I mean, and I got super frustrated about 2 months ago. Well, actually, this was Christmas time. I ordered a laptop for my daughter for Christmas, and it was like maybe 4 days before Christmas, and the driver from On Track, yes, On Track, from On Track, they took it to the wrong house, right? So, and from what I understand is that on track drivers have this reputation of not delivering stuff on time or to the right house. So I said, well, if my package was delivered by a robot or a drone, it would have got there and there would be no mistakes, right? So it's like, and that's because some employees don't value their job. They think that the customer should be grateful that we're delivering your package. Like, no, we're paying for
Yeah.
your job, your wages. So treat us well. It's like,
Yeah.
if you can't do your job, then maybe it'd be better for a robot or a drone to come deliver my package, right?
Yep.
So, but we have to really get smart. So, you know what? If these companies are doing that, whether good or bad, we have to figure out a way to position ourselves to make sure that we are taking care of our family by creating our own business, our own legacy in this sense, right?
Yeah.
So it's on both sides, on the consumer side and the business side.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you agree.
Yeah.
It's something we can agree on. So going back to online marketing. So from marketing from 10 years ago till now, what do you see is is the biggest shift as far as, because we for your business, well, you need attention, right? So attention is Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat,
Sure.
um, now TikTok. So even though the industry has changed, my business owners have not changed. I still see newspapers around. I still see magazines around. So I still see here radio ads, right? So in your opinion, what's the biggest difference between then and now? And again, how can we bridge that gap?
Um, so I was on a podcast before that they asked a similar question, and I think I will stick with the answer from there. So the biggest change has a lot to do with uh, a combination of change. So we learn things as a society, and we make changes as a whole in those directions, either toward or away from something. And customization, because I'm used to seeing Facebook ads that talk to me and what I like, and because Facebook and Instagram itself, most social media, you usually only see things that their algorithm has learned that you like, which is kind of a dangerous thing because then you spiral into your own abyss of what you think is right rather than taking in consuming information so you're well rounded. But because that's the case, ads can be custom made to me, so I can literally see an ad that talks to me living in the city I live in, even the month of the year that I'm born in, stuff like that. So customization is a huge thing from then to now.
Right,
Customization of who you're talking.
right,
Um, if you're smart, you actually use customization to make sure that the person looks like the person that you're talking to.
right,
So if I'm targeting women, I can have a woman speaking to women. And if I'm the same brand, but I want to speak to men, I would have a man speaking to men,
right.
something they can relate to. There are some situations where you want to reverse that, but um, and then the social aspect of it is Netflix taught everyone that streaming services are where you want to consume.
Right.
What happened after that? Amazon got Amazon Prime streaming. HBO went online and got streaming. Who else? Disney Plus just came out. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Hulu. There was a social shift that happened that Netflix was the leading member of, and that's if as an entrepreneur, if you pay attention to those social shifts,
Mhm.
then you can jump onto those social shifts and you can take part in them as well. And it doesn't have to be that you start your own streaming service, but you can see what the behavior is in consumers, and you can see, for example, that the streaming service actually just made it saved time for the consumer. They consider it cheaper because I think Netflix is like $8 or $12 a month, so it's more of a volume game, but Netflix doesn't have to produce new things over and over again. They just have one movie, and basically it's uh, a billion people renting one movie over and over again, which is for them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you can pay attention to those social changes and social cues, and you can jump on those social cues and increase your business.
So basically, business owners just have to be aware of what's coming, aware of the current trends, and just really adjust themselves and just study and say, oh, that's kind of, maybe I should look more into that for my own personal business, my own personal gain, if I want to grow and scale my business. But if not, then you will just get lost. So this is a lot of information. Thanks by the way. But I know that you were not born with all this information. You weren't born a digital marketer, right? So how did you find yourself at this point coming to find this business and really knowing what you know
Um, just being a student of the industry. So really my background is actually in business development. For over a decade, I've worked with businesses to launch and manage and grow businesses from zero to over $10 million for certain businesses. Um, so it's I have been in the field of how does business grow, but that was pre-internet, pre-online marketing. So then it was really when we met around that time where I got into e-commerce and really started understanding the capacity of that, which was really only 2-3 years ago. Um, I got so fascinated by it that I literally just dove in head first and I consumed everything I could, whether it was books. I listened to podcasts on a daily basis from people who are smarter than me, who have been doing it much longer than I have. I work with, so the company ClickFunnels that I work with is probably the fastest growing SaaS company in the world. So it's just getting around people who know more than me, whether that's actually in person or through books or through podcasts or whatever the case may be, and just consuming as much as I can on that specific topic so I can understand what to do next.
Right. I've definitely seen the numbers, and I know that you're not full of fluff. So just so everybody else knows, so tell us the numbers that you've done on a e-commerce store, your own business, your own brand. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So when I first started e-commerce, it was a little slow going. I say that, but then I listen to other people and they hate me when I say slow going.
Like
So, I really just, I think because I had some business acumen, it just, once I learned the online version of it, it was easy for me to implement. So, I launched my first e-com store January 1st, 2017, because it was my New Year's resolution that day or that year. And within, so my first month, I did about 27,000 in revenue. And then the next month, it was about um, 45. And then by the third month, I had broken years in revenue. And then it was just kind of like, take off from there. And that was really what made me like a online marketing nerd. Was I was like, man, this is insane how the internet can open these doors. So then that brought me to different people, especially over at ClickFunnels. So then I started talking to them and working with them. They are a 100. I think this past year they'll probably clear $150 million in revenue.
they cracked.
Yeah, last year they cleared 100. My guess is 150, but it might be higher than that. They made it very well known that the goal is to have a $1 billion valuation sometime this year. So, say again?
This year?
This year, yeah, to have a $1 billion valuation. So if they sold the business, they could sell it for $1 billion.
Yeah.
So that's really where it started at I'm judging. I literally was at zero, and all I did was I sat in front of someone who was smarter than me and said, this is how I did it. So I followed their example, and I was able to launch a store within 3 months doing 6 figures a month in revenue. And then it just kind of took off from there. I spread my wings into actually helping other people do it. So yeah.
So you basically created your own business from a thought,
Correct.
Because now you were doing 6 figures a month. Did you have 6 figures to put into business when you started?
Oh no. So my goal, so I sat down, my wife was traveling a lot for work. We were both working at the time. And so that was one of the things I did have that some people don't was my kids are grown and my wife was traveling a lot. So I had a couple hours in the morning and a couple hours in the evening where really it was just my own time, Monday through Friday. So I had the time to do this, which can be the hardest part. But I decided I was just going to basically not go to Starbucks every day. And I took that money of not going to Starbucks and I put it into my business. And as it made money, I took that money and dumped it back into the business. And so it just snowballed on top of itself. And that's how I was able to make it grow so fast, is because I listened to good advice. I executed on that advice, which is something most people don't do. And then I took the money that it was creating and I dumped it back into what was creating that money, so it would just create it faster.
Right. So Starbucks, I'm not a big Starbucks person, but I'm guessing 10 to 20 bucks a day? Starbucks?
Yeah, technically the first week, I think I was doing like $5 a day in ads.
So you took $5 a day and scaled that to a 6-figure business. Repeat it again. $5 a day and scale that to
Yeah.
a six-figure business. All right.
Yep.
Talk about creativity, So now I believe, from a transition here, I believe that you can literally market any type of product online,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Just give it enough time and consistency. No matter what product you have or service, you can market it and be successful, right? So now I want to talk to you and I'm talking to you because before this call we were texting because I was having a small challenge with my advertising, my ads, right? So we were texting, and you gave me okay, this is what's happening, this is what you should do. Same thing you did, 3 years ago with my ads. So let's talk about a winning offer for a business owner. What aspects they need to have a winning offer. So let's talk about, I don't know, a shoe company. A shoe company that sells workout shoes for men. All right. So we have this shoe, and I'm located in California, and I want to sell this workout shoe to men, who work out between ages 25 and up. How
Okay.
we implement that?
So the first thing I would do is I'd actually ask more questions. I
Okay.
feel like men 25 and up is too large a demographic or a niche because.
Let's say it's your business. So I just
Okay.
mentioned this is your company.
Okay. So if it's my company, I'm not just thinking man. I'm want to try to figure out how to eliminate or how to minimize my competitors. So,
Okay.
for example, Nike sells athletic shoes. We've got Nike. We've got a whole bunch of New Balance, whatever. So my first question is, how do I differentiate myself from those people? And you can do that a bunch of different ways. The first way I would do it is there some sort of performance item I can focus in on? Like, I have a shoe that can do this one thing for you, and I usually don't have to say anything about any competitor. Even if they have shoes that do the same thing, they don't usually market it. So because I'm marketing that one thing, like this shoe will, like back when I think it was Nike did the Jordan pumps,
Yeah.
and it was like, this will make you jump higher. If I did that now with the shoe, no one's doing a jump higher shoe that I'm aware of. So it would probably catch the eye of people who want to jump high, usually basketball players.
Right.
So I could create a niche inside of there, and I'm speaking a language that no one else is speaking right now. So I can create my own niche. So it would be the first thing I would do is figure out my niche inside of that niche. Because there's going to be enough buyers for me to create an offer to that audience that they're going to come buy from me. And then once I have $1 million business, then I can think about expanding beyond that particular niche. So that's the first part of my offer is, who am I really talking to that I can just focus on getting my first 1,000 to 1,500 buyers.
So what's the offer? Like, what's the offer? What is the offer?
So the offer would be, I want to sell you this shoe that is going to help you jump higher,
Gotcha.
for example.
Okay.
In addition, what I would probably do is, there are some people out there who have put out programs that are training programs on how to increase your jump.
Right.
And what I would do is I would take that from them. I would ask them if I could license it or whatever I need to do, be an affiliate, whatever. And I would actually build that with the shoe. And I would say, here's the shoe and here's the training for how to jump higher. And then that's my offer. That's my bundle offer.
Okay.
Because you can't find that at Nike. You can't find that anywhere else. Like, I literally am going to devote this business to making you jump higher. And
Okay.
this is how you can tell that. So that's my offer.
Okay.
And it's an offer that I would argue you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I could run with that. As a matter of fact, I might start that tomorrow. I could run with that offer, and I can actually compete against Nike and Adidas and things like that, because they're not running that type of offer.
Okay. Okay. So you have the offer, you have the shoe, you have the program. So what do you do with the offer? How do you shoot a commercial? Do you do a cell phone video? Do you do a picture? How do you show the people what you have to offer?
So ideally, what I do in this situation is I'd actually see the company that's providing me with the training videos and stuff. I would actually try to see if there's some people they would recommend that have gone through the training and um, they have video of like before and after. And
Okay.
then I would take that information and then I would put my shoes on those people and have them show off their after again. So then the before would just be them regular shoes, can't really jump, that kind of stuff. And the after would be them with significant more height and in my shoes. So then the people associate my shoes with their increased jump ability. And that would be it. That it would just be, and it could be literally me sitting there with my smartphone video, taping them. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. As a matter of fact, there's been movies made with iPhones. So there's no real need for really high quality stuff unless you get special angles and good stuff like that.
So you have a offer, the shoe offer you package together. So you don't need to have a big blown out production commercial. It costs you thousands of dollars to shoot. You can literally take your cell phone, shoot your own commercial, and then now you have a product to show. All right. So at this point, how do you put your product, your offer in front of people? How do you know the people that want to buy it? I mean, are you doing flyers, business cards, and like how you know if people want to buy this thing?
Yeah. So from that point, I would stop and think about if I'm partnering with someone or if I'm grabbing the training from another company that's already been selling it, I would probably ask them who their demographic is. And then I could take that information, whether I'm sure because they told me, or I think because I kind of know the age range, or if I know nothing at all, it doesn't really matter. I would then go to Facebook, Instagram. I might do YouTube because there are some how to jump higher tutorials on YouTube that I could get in front of. And I would literally just go put that in front of people. I'd spend as much as I'm comfortable spending. My goal is to get 100 people in either to my store or to my sales funnel, just 100 people into my sales funnel. So that way I can figure out who my demographic is and at what point the sales funnel is breaking down and people aren't buying or they're, abandoning or whatever the case may be. But that's really what I would do is I would just focus, and I might just focus on just Facebook and Instagram at first just to make it less complicated, and then expand to YouTube once I've figured out my sales funnel and make sure that it's converting properly.
Okay. So you have mastered that platform first, Facebook and IG, before you move on. Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
what I like to do is, so we're talking about shoes here, right? So most people, if I'm selling my own shoe, most people would target Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. So that's their target, but everyone's targeting them, right? Because so you have more competition.
Yeah.
What I found that worked for me is that if you don't, I would look at Nike as an interest, right? But then I would see the people who like Nike. What else do they like?
Yep.
Oh, they like whatever fat burger. They like this supplement or this restaurant, right? So I would target them because that way I'm not being super competitive, and then I'm moving away from the interest that everybody else is targeting, right?
Yeah.
So that has worked for me because I used to just target just like the main Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, Reebok, and I'm like, shit, it's not working, right? I would get a few sales.
Yeah. It takes more time to filter through. Yeah, it takes more time to filter through all those people to figure out who your actual buyers are.
Yeah.
In this situation, in this scenario that you've presented me with, I would actually say, I would assume that the people who would want to buy my offer are actually people who are in organized sports.
Yeah.
So I would actually go for people in organized basketball leagues.
Right.
And that's where I would go. Now, the problem is it's usually people who are in there are like middle and high school, but they're not buyers. They don't spend the money on those things. So I have to target middle, high school, and their parents. So my age range is a little wider than the actual people wearing it because I have to include the buyers of it as well. But because I'm going straight for organized sports or organized basketball, just like you said, I can bypass the millions and millions of people that are interested in Nike and Adidas and all that and go straight to the people who would actually want my bundle because I'm selling a training on umpire. And that's the other perk of having a bundle is it actually narrows down your niche even further. You don't have to spend as much money against other companies to find the same people.
Okay. Okay. So what companies out there that cannot benefit from targeted marketing?
I don't think there are any businesses out there that can't. Honestly, even um, you can actually look at television ads for the last 30 years and look at McDonald's and Pepsi and Coke and all of just pick a company that's still in business. They create ads that speak to a part of society that they're trying to target. When Pepsi went to, they did this twice. They did the next generation ads back in the, I think it was 60s or 70s, and then they brought it back again in the late 80s or early 90s, the next generation, because Coke is so hardwired into American culture that they had to go after the people who weren't hardwired yet, which was the younger crowd. So they did the next generation so that way they can woo the people, the younger people over to them and kind of win that generation over. It's the same thing. It's just in this situation, they could have actually chosen to target the people who are actually under the age of 35 or 30 or whatever their demographic was and save a bunch of money instead of just showing it to everybody.
All right. So people right now are listening, right, and they're business owners. Give us three power moves that we can take right now today to take our business from and okay marketing to okay now I'm starting to gain some traction, start scaling business. Just three power moves, man.
3 power moves. Okay. I think the first one would be finding a niche that your competitors aren't targeting, or at least aren't overtly targeting. Figuring out what you can offer that they don't offer, creating that offer bundle that they're not offering. For example, McDonald's, when they started offering drink and fries with their burger, no one else was offering that at the time. It was revolutionary for them. So what's your shake and burger and fries combination? And then the third thing would be just throw some money into Facebook and see what happens. Play around with the targeting. I can guarantee you, by minimum, you get more proven eyeballs on your brand than you get any other way. That you can't. That's the other thing is you can actually track how many eyeballs are seeing your stuff versus if you have a billboard. I put billboard companies. They tell you how many eyeballs they're going to guess based on how much traffic comes through, but you can't guarantee that that's how many eyeballs actually see your brand.
Right, right. So I'm a new online marketer. All right. So Matt, I spent $20. I spent $40. I spent $100 and I've got nothing. What's your response to that?
Usually my response is, if I'm feeling generous, my response is, let me take a look at what you did.
Yeah.
And then I usually go through and see that it was really just throwing money at the wall and seeing what would happen.
Yeah.
Versus actually learning how the platform works and using it the way that it needs to be used. And the interesting thing is Facebook especially is getting smarter and smarter. So you literally just tell it what you want your end result to be, and Facebook will go find your end result. It doesn't have to be that difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Although it's getting smarter and you can spend $20 and get a result, but that's not enough money. I mean, if you say I spent 20 to $100, I'm like, well, you spend more of that on flyers, on newspaper ads, on magazine ads, and you put $100 into Facebook and you're crying because nothing happened. You have to spend more money and let the process run, right?
Well, and if that's the case, I'm going to ask, let's say they did a magazine ad. I'm going to ask, well, how many people saw your ad and came in because of your magazine ad? And then I'm going to say, prove it. Prove it to me. How
Right.
many people is it? And most people cannot prove to me Billboard magazine, whatever the case may be, unless it has like a coupon on it that they brought in.
Yeah.
There's no way that they can prove to me that that's what happened.
So Facebook is trackable.
Facebook is very trackable. You'd have to do you'd have to work really hard to make Facebook's tracking.
Okay. Perfect. So this has been a real brief overview of online marketing and really how to create a winning offer for your business. So people want more. How do they find you?
I actually do a Facebook ads strategy session with people. If they just go to matthagberg.com,
Okay.
they can schedule a strategy session, and yeah, I can take a look at your business. We can talk about what you have going on. If you're a good fit for my agency, we can talk about that as well. But yeah, this is something that I like to nerd out about, so I don't tend to require anything upfront to help people out. So yeah.
Cool. So, man, anything in closing for us?
Um, just make sure that you are the person trying to put your own business out of business before someone else does it for you, because it will happen at some point. It's better you do it and you learn and grow than it is that you allow another business to do it and then you just shut your doors.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, thank you, my brother, for being on the podcast. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
So, guys, I hope you guys listened and you took notes. It's super important to put your business in a position to be in business for years to come. Whatever you're doing, keep moving, keep pushing forward, and keep creating. So until the next time, guys, see you next time. Born to Create. See you soon. Bye.